The opening words today are titled, Come, Gather In. In the houses of the holy, the world pauses. In the hearts of the holy, love abides. In the havens of the holy, hope comforts. In the hearths of the holy, spirit refreshes. Come then, one and all, gather in. Come then, one and all, gather here. Bring here all your heart. Bring here all your body. Bring here all of your soul. Come then, bring the broken, the vulnerable, the ragged, the outcast, the other. Come then, come in, come. Come then, one and all, gather in. Come then, gather in.
Oh my gosh, we're going to need more space up here. If anyone wants to come forward, young at heart, feeling like your joints could do it today, whatever, come on up. It's good to see all your faces. You braved the cold. Oh my gosh, how's everyone doing? Good. You're doing good? How are you doing? Good. You're doing good? Okay. All right. And I see all you cool kids out there. Too cool. It's good. We're going to have a lot of fun up here. So this, if you haven't seen it before, is our Wonder Box. And I wonder, that's what it's named for, I wonder what's inside the box today. Does anyone like to open the Wonder Box today? Go over here. But I have a couple different things in there, so you get the first thing. You want to open it? From the bottom there. There you go. Perfect. One-hander. Nice. Okay, now go flip this one down. Okay, now lift this up. Perfect. Okay, get the top piece of paper out. Okay, you want to come stand here right here. Do you know who that is? Do you know who this is? Okay, come right over here on this step. You want to hold it up? You show it to people? Let's see if people know who that is. Does anyone know who that is? Okay. This is someone named Emma Lazarus, which I sometimes mix up my S's and my TH, and that's a hard word to say. Lazarus. Does anyone know who Emma Lazarus is? She was an amazing poet, and she was a poet here in the United States. And she got sick when she was like a young adult and didn't live very long, but she wrote so many beautiful poems, and I really think more people should study her. She was a Jewish American, and she also wrote a lot of things that talked about our diversity and what we should do to care for one another as a community. She kind of looks like someone else. I don't think it was intentional, but let's see what the next piece of paper is. Does someone want to grab that one? You want to grab that one? Okay. Let's see if we know who that is. Who is that? Statue of Liberty. Lady Liberty, I believe, is her full name. And, oh my gosh, I was looking at her picture as well, and I kind of thought she kind of looked like Emma a little bit. Here, you want to hold up Emma? Oh, 1 second, Adrian. Want to hold that up? You hold it up. Allie, hold it up. I kind of think they look kind of similar. Now, why am I putting these two together? Why are these two people together? Did she write a poem? She wrote a very specific poem, and it's at the Statue of Liberty. Does anyone know what that poem's called? It's called The New Colossus, which sounds like a Marvel movie or something like that. But it's actually a poem that is right at this port of entry where a lot of people came after the Statue of Liberty was, before and after the Statue of Liberty was built. And it's on this last piece of paper that I want to read to you. Okay? And I want you to think about all the images that come to mind, okay? Think about it like we got the altar call roll up here for those in the back. We don't have an altar call, but you can come sit up here if you'd like to come forward. Okay, so I'm going to read this poem, and I want you to picture it, okay? Picture coming in on a boat from another country and thinking about these words that many people have come to hold dear as a symbol of us at our best as a country, okay? Some of us know maybe one or two lines, but we might not have heard the whole thing in a while or ever. So this is it. This is The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed, sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Wow. So this picture is really a symbol of us at our best when we try to lift that beacon of welcome to the world. And we're not always at our best as a country, but we need to try really hard, and you all need to help lead us, okay? So today we're going to be talking about being a country where we can all feel welcome from wherever we come from and whoever we're rooting for in the Super Bowl or whatever, all right? We need to find welcome in this community because there's a lot of diversity in this own community right here, let alone this country, right? And then I think you all are going out and having a blast. Like children are going to be hanging out in a couple different rooms. I think the youth are planning their service that they're going to lead here. They're going to lead a whole service. They're like, Nick, we got this. That's what they said. Yeah. What does it stand for? Freedom. So let's create more freedom and welcome, okay? Here and all the days we have together, all right? Let us sing you out to your classes today. Have a good time.
My appreciation of the diversity within nature expanded when I took a college course in ornithology. Each time I learned to identify an individual bird by sight and through their calls, I saw and heard that species everywhere. Then, in winter, I discovered that it is beneficial for various species to travel together in mixed flocks. Chickadees, finches, nuthatches, downy woodpeckers, brown creepers, and kinglets forage together for safety, surviving in winter due to both their diversity and behavior of flocking together. Chickadees are small birds with a black cap. They are the leaders in their mixed flock because they are very vocal and they say, if I translate, chickadee-dee-dee, as a warning. If they perceive danger, they alert the flock by adding more D's to the end of their song, like chickadee-dee-dee-dee. The various species in these flocks feed in different manners, preventing competition for limited food. Woodpeckers, for example, examine bark on larger branches and on the tree trunks. Kinglets like the tips of twigs. Switching from focusing on birds as an example of maintaining healthy diversity within a group, let's talk about people. As an outdoor educator, I met students from many walks of life. One week, the students arrived from a town described by their teachers as a Southern California Mayberry, where teenagers were seen speeding down the road. Their parents would receive calls from multiple community members. One classroom had all the hard of hearing children placed together so that they could have a sign language interpreter. These kids were seated together at one table so they could see the interpreter's signs. Soon after the school year started, the hearing children were all using sign to be able to talk to their new friends. This is another wonderful example of inclusion, enriching the experience of the whole group. I learned from these examples that diversity deepens our lived experiences. I saw this in our community of Columbus from our interfaith work, such as meeting people from other congregations at monthly meals. And also, I see this through participating in Peace Camp.
No one pot is the same, no one poet is the same. Watch how we melt together, and while they may taste different, gumbo, hot pot, conjures memories, carries struggles, captures love. What did you think of the spoken word piece we heard this morning? I always love when we can incorporate the voices of children and youth into our Sunday services. That's why I love our Wonder Box time so much. It's not just that they say the darndest things, but that they sometimes share the very truths and reminders that we need to receive. And, well, we sure did receive a powerful message from these two young poets this morning. It's been sort of a week of having youth on my mind. This spoken word piece has shaped a lot of my reflections for this topic of our service today, but I also spent a really interesting Thursday with about 100 ninth graders at New Tech High School here in Columbus. Yeah, it's not every week that happens. I hang out with 100 youth, but I had this great opportunity to do so after I was invited by some teachers to speak with their classes about religion, and specifically about religious diversity, interfaith community building, and the importance of doing so right here in Columbus, Indiana. It's a really great partnership that's kind of really blossoming between the school and us to be cultivating, and it's a really good partnership to be cultivating between young learners and this community as well. In fact, in a few weeks, all of those students will get on a bus and take a field trip out here to see our building and grounds, and as well as the Hindu temple, and have more time to consider the importance and purpose of building a more inclusive community across religious and cultural backgrounds. Perhaps you would like to come out and help host them with me. Let me know if you're interested. So picture this, with my, shall we say, healthy level of enthusiasm, coming face to face with 100 15-year-olds in cold, boring mid-January to talk about religion. Wow. To say it was an uphill battle at times to inspire those young minds on Thursday is to say the least. But I mustered my best Robin Williams impression from Dead Poets Society and gave it my best. And you know what? I think some of them left that classroom really intrigued by the project of the Interfaith Campus, but even more so that there are just different religions. I mean, I know they knew that, but that there are so many religious traditions, and ones like Unitarian Universalism that focus less on rigid rules and ideas like of conversion or salvation, and more on social justice and affirming our sacred differences. I remember some really earnest questions they asked about UU or about non-Christian communities that made it clear that they were curious about our wider community here in Columbus. Because let's be clear, it can be hard at a young age to have an intermediate view of the world. Not like the big world, as it relates to big issues like global warming or immigration. Those topics are nearly impossible to not weigh on the hearts of teens in some way. Nor do I mean the personal view, the close view, like what they see in their day-to-day life, their own lived experience in school and at home. I mean more of that intermediate, middle view of, say, Columbus or southern Indiana. That's a hard view, the kind of Goldilocks view, to really get a sense of what is happening right here and now and what they can do right here and now to be a part of the shaping of our community. In doing so, I mentioned in at least one of the classes, I kind of freewheeled it all 3 times. I wonder why. About the melting pot. I spoke about the melting pot and about salad bowl images, and that was obviously the topic for this week of the United States, and it was really clear that those images clicked for many of them. I said, the metaphors we use or choose as a society shape how we see it and how we interact with it. I said, our community is lucky to have a lot of religious diversity, but only if we choose to see it and embrace it. The next section of their learning will include interviewing people from different religious backgrounds and then presenting on those different religions to each other in their classes. Then, as I mentioned, they'll get on a bus and come out here in a few weeks to spend a few hours on the campus, and hopefully we'll have lunch together and see the temple and maybe have some exercises to keep their questions and learning going. Now, as I'm describing all of this, I'm wondering what sorts of reactions you might be having to hearing that this type of learning and experience is going on right here in southern Indiana. Is it surprising, exciting? Maybe you're a little nervous about public schools talking about religion at all. What's really awesome is that because our state has permitted, really kind of encouraged, religion to be talked about in schools, these teachers have chosen to do so in a way that lifts up religious diversity and talks about different religious traditions and gives them space to begin to think about the relationship between religion and society and how they fit into that. That's a really wonderful experience for young people to have. And this matters because, as I shared in the class, they, like all of us, have the ability, if they wish, to be bridge builders in this lifetime. We have the opportunity to intentionally choose our metaphors for society and then work to make them so. In this sense, the melting pot and salad bowl really are divergent paths before us. How many of you grew up hearing about the melting pot is sort of like the United States? I did. It was a very common image, an idea taught for generations. Tell me, what were some of the values or descriptions, positive, or negatives, if any, that you heard about the melting pot? You can just raise your hand and just shout out, how was the melting pot taught to you as a child or as a teenager?
Acceptance.
It was about acceptance, community. Assimilation. That was a big word. What school did you go to? I like that, Rhonda.
All contributing to the whole.
Oh, they're all contributing to the whole. Okay. Equality, opportunity. Opportunity. Good. Any others? Homogenizing. Okay. Great. So the name Melting Pot was popularized, for those who don't know, from a 1908 play titled The Melting Pot by Israel Zangwill. And it's up here. I think I have a picture, which includes the line, quote, "America is God's crucible, the great melting pot where all the races of Europe are melting and reforming." America is God's crucible, the great melting pot where all the races of Europe are melting and reforming. Zangwill, sometimes referred to as the Jewish Dickens. I was like, is this a very common referring? But he was an amazing playwright, mostly spent his life in England. But he wrote tremendous amount of plays and works, and one of them, called The Melting Pot, had a major influence in the United States, including by President Theodore Roosevelt, who has his own complications, who sent him a personal letter after seeing his play. Interestingly, it would be several more generations until we start getting into some of the limitations of such a metaphor, and by that point it really stuck. The Smithsonian, which thankfully has some level of autonomy still today, writes on their website, quote, "At the Smithsonian, The melting pot is a term that was used to describe Americanization, in which immigrants adopt American culture and abandon culture from their home country, end quote. The other melting pot popularization that I learned about in college was championed by Henry Ford. Maybe some of you have seen this picture. As the Ford Motor Company continued to grow, Henry Ford wanted to create a pathway to grow its workforce, so he developed the Ford English School. Have any of you heard of the English School? Here's a description from the Henry Ford Museum's website. Quote, in 1914, Ford Motor Company established the Ford English School. This is so 6 years after the play came out, where the automaker's diverse immigrant employees could learn the English language and take civics lessons in preparation for becoming U.S. citizens. At the graduation ceremony, students wearing clothing from their native countries descended into a large American melting pot and emerged wearing homogeneous suits and waving American flags. There they are, waving the flags. You can go off the slide now. You can go ahead, Marty. It's hard to imagine the feeling of immigrants going through such a transformation over 100 years ago. I'm sure there's more writing about it that I didn't have time to research, but it's easy looking from here in 2026 to see the holes and negative implications of striving to create a homogeneous society. Indeed, I think we here would generally see such an erasing of cultural diversity, including religious diversity, to be a bad thing, or at least an unnecessary thing to become a citizen or permanent resident of the United States. So much has changed, though, in 100 years. And so without merely saying hindsight is 2020, we could ask ourselves, how are we today affirming another image, different images, or sets of images to shape our country's future? The salad bowl is surely the most commonly taught today in schools and nonprofits in the United States, which promotes inclusivity and diversity as a value in this country. Retired professor and author Anne Marcotte, who writes extensively on the theme of cultural identity in the United States, describes the impact of the salad imagery to support our coming together, to make something diverse and yet still one. She writes, and this is a slightly longer quote, the salad bowl metaphor begins with the notion that salad is a good thing, a positive thing, that we like salads. It also begins with the notion that a bowl full of lettuce is not a salad. Salad happens when you add some tomatoes or some croutons or some chickpeas or a bit of dressing. Equally important to the metaphor is the fact that when the cucumber joins the salad, it does not become lettuce or disappear into an undifferentiated goo. It retains and contributes its own unique cucumberness. It, as cucumber, is an important part of the salad. Having both tomatoes and cucumbers is what makes the salad a salad. She goes on to say, salad is salad. It is one thing, but it depends on and requires its recognizable parts, and equally it requires those parts to come together in some way to work together towards the shared goal of salad, rather than to pursue only their disparate goals of fried onions or stewed tomatoes or carrot sticks, end quote. I hope this difference between the melting pot and salad bowl makes sense and feels appealing to you or makes you hungry, maybe. Obviously, no metaphor is exact. All metaphors are an approximation. They're a pointing towards to help make sense of something we cannot fully grasp. Metaphors help us to try on a topic in a way that is more relatable and is easier to understand. I think of our interfaith campus a bit like a salad bowl. There are at least 5 different ingredients, albeit with more internal diversity than just the congregations alone. There are a lot of internal pluralism, you might say, within each of our communities. In our salad here on Goler Road, we have Unitarian Universalists, Hindus, Buddhists, pagans, and Jews, and I'd expect a lot of different terms you might use to describe yourself. We have said we want to mix up the salad more or hold more shared programming and interactions, and I'd love to see that too. It's always good to give the salad a little toss. But what's delicious about our broader community on the campus and right here in our UU community is that there is a place where salad is served. There is a place, a built environment that doesn't just happen. It's an environment you have all built and continue to build, where you can go, a space, a place where you can go and experience and learn about the beauty of our sacred diversity, to hold not just the value of pluralism, but to practice, not just to hold it, but to practice in place like this place, which is remarkable and noteworthy and worthy of celebration. It is a salad for sure, but we are also a different imagery, a beacon for diverse religious thought and courageous action. The more we lean into our unique gifts of promoting pluralism and justice and interdependence, the more we can share that beautiful message, that delicious message, with the world. And who knows? Perhaps someday every student in our whole school district, or perhaps surrounding districts, will come to the Interfaith campus once or maybe twice while in high school, or maybe sooner in middle school or elementary school, when we are already at that young age learning metaphors that will deeply shape our understanding of the world for good or for ill. We can start with 100 ninth graders, God help us, and see where it goes. We can begin with all of us who came here today to get hyped up on this Super Salad Bowl Sunday. I think there's a big sporting event later today. That is, besides the 22nd annual Puppy Bowl, which I hope you'll tune into. But we always begin where we are. We need to begin where we are with who is here, and we see then what can come next. So what might we cook together? That's my question. What might we cook together? What might we serve this community? And to and with, what might we cook to and with, share with and cook with our interfaith neighbors? How might our cooking together in many ways be a rebuke? How might our cooking be a rebuke of the cruel behavior we see happening to our immigrant neighbors in our country? How can our hospitality and shared nourishment be a respite for our hungry spirits, our weary minds, and our aching bodies? Perhaps then, as our young prophets reminded us, to begin that what we create together, what we cook together, can conjure memories of the past, carry the struggles still faced today, capture love as that essential, albeit sometimes absent ingredient, and lead us forward to that welcome table where all have a seat and all will surely be fed. May it be so, and amen.